Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be doing flapjacks, but in 3 different ways. We're going to start off with the basic flapjack recipe, and then we're going to do a white chocolate and raspberry recipe, and there's also a really chocolatey recipe at the end too. Everything in this video series is going to be using minimal equipment, so no like fancy mixing bowls, no expensive gadgets, whatever, and I'm also going to be using basic ingredients. So things that you've probably already got in your house or you can easily get hold of. I know at the moment it's a little bit trickier to get hold of things, but hopefully you can mackle something together with these. The best thing about this recipe, well obviously apart from how it tastes, is that it's really customizable. So if you don't like the sound of some of the add-ons that I've used in some of the recipes, or you just don't have them at your house, then it's really easy to swap them out and change them for something that you do have and do like. I actually think it's quite hard to get a good flapjack because they're either so gooey that they're falling apart and you can't pick them up, or they're really dry and crumbly. You'll see in the video that I actually use a little bit of flour in each one, and that actually really helps to just bind them together and give them more of a fudgy kind of chewy texture instead of it just being syrup, butter, I'm counting wrong, syrup, butter and oats. You've actually got the flour in there as a little bit of a binding agent, which really helps stick everything together. So we'll get on with the video now. If you enjoy it, then please subscribe to my channel and there will be lots more coming. Hope you enjoy. The first recipe that we're going to be going through in this video is a golden flapjack recipe. This is literally everything that a flapjack should be and better. It is amazing. With this you can add on whatever toppings you like. I've just added seeds because it's what my mum requested, or you can just leave it plain for the perfect flapjack. These keep for absolutely ages. Just store them in an airtight container once they're fully cooled. The quantities listed here are for baking in a 9-inch square tin. If you don't have one of these, just use something similar, but you may need to adjust your cooking time slightly. If you don't want quite this much flapjack, then obviously feel free to half it. Before we start, you need to preheat your oven. My oven is fan assisted and it's at a temperature of 150 degrees. If your oven is not fan assisted, preheat it to 170 degrees. So you'll see here I began by greasing my tin, which here is a 9-inch square tin. Once you've greased your tin, you then need to completely cover it in greaseproof. It can be a little bit tricky getting it in all the corners, but just keep messing around with it and you'll get it there eventually. You want it to be fully covered just like this. Here you'll see I'm using an electric scale. Any scale will work fine, I just find these are a little bit more accurate. First we're going to begin with a small saucepan that you can use on the hob. You're just going to add in your syrup, butter and soft light brown sugar all into the saucepan. Once you've added all of these to your saucepan, you're going to place it on a low heat on your hob. Just keep stirring occasionally while we add together our dry ingredients. Once you're left with a dark brown caramelly syrup-like mixture in the pan, and all the lumps are dissolved, you'll know that it's ready to use. Next you're going to need a large bowl and we're going to add in our oats and flour. I also add in a little sprinkling of salt, that's completely up to you. Just give it all a good stir and get everything combined all together. Once the ingredients on your hob are fully melted down and combined, then you can add it to your dry ingredients. Simply pour in the contents and then begin stirring so that everything is combined and covered in the mixture. Once combined, simply tip all the contents of your bowl into your greased baking tin and then flatten it down with the back of a large spoon. You want your bake to be as even as possible, so just spend a little bit of time making sure it's perfectly level, flat and you're happy with it. You can leave it completely plain or you can add on whatever you want. Place your tin in the oven and you're going to bake for 30 minutes. Once out of the oven, your flapjack should be a lovely golden brown colour. I would recommend leaving your flapjack to cool for about 15 to 20 minutes and then slicing it up in the tin while it's still cooling. This just makes your knife glide through a little bit easier and you get much less crumbling. These flapjacks hold together really well and you'll be left with a wonderful, chewy, fudgy-like flapjack. Next, we're going on to my favourite recipe. These are absolutely delicious and I definitely recommend that you make these. If you don't like raspberries or you don't have any frozen raspberries, and likewise with the white chocolate, you could swap it out for dark chocolate, feel free to use another frozen fruit or another type of chocolate or nut. Just make sure you keep the quantities of your add-ins the same. So just like in the one before, we're going to begin by adding together all of our wet ingredients, and then we're going to heat them gently on the hob while we combine the dry ingredients in a bowl. You'll notice with the white chocolate, I used a vegan white chocolate bar and just roughly chopped it up into chunks. Next, add your frozen raspberries or other type of frozen fruit, and then you're ready to go. When adding the wet mixture to this dry mixture, if you leave the wet mixture to cool a little bit, then your raspberries will stay more intact. However, I prefer adding the mixture to the dry ingredients while it's still hot. Then some of the smaller raspberries melt down and form a jam in the flapjack, and it's absolutely delicious. Just as before, once it's all flattened down in your baking tin, you're going to put it in the oven and bake it for 30 minutes. Finally, we're moving on to the chocolate flapjack recipe. This is so good. It's literally a cross between a flapjack and a brownie, and I love it. I won't show you all me doing the wet ingredients again. I think seeing that twice is quite enough. So here I am just adding the dry ingredients to the bowl, again with a little dash of salt. That's just personal preference, you just add it to your own taste, or don't add any at all. Next, you're going to add in your chocolate chips or roughly chopped up chunks to your mixture. Just like with the raspberry flapjack, if you want to leave your mixture on the hob to cool a little bit before adding it in, your chocolate will stay more in the chip or chunk form. However, if you add it in while it's still hot, your chocolate will melt into the mixture. I've just added on some coconut because that's literally all we had. How depressing. But this would be amazing with some glacé cherries or frozen cherries added in or on top. Just play around with all the different combinations, it's literally endless. Just like with the other ones, you're going to bake it for 30 minutes. And then I'd recommend leaving it to cool for 15 to 20 minutes before slicing up with a knife while still in the tray. Just like the other two recipes, this will also keep in an airtight container for absolutely ages, so don't be afraid to make loads, or just make 3 in a day like I did in this video, and then you'll end up with 27 pieces of flapjack. It's all fine. I'd absolutely love to know if you try these recipes and if you like the sound of them. I've got loads more ideas of recipe videos that are coming up. So happy baking, and I hope you like them as much as me.